All right, so I'm recording this video immediately after that other video because there was a point I brought up and I went on like a 5-minute tangent about that I cut from that last video. And I was like, I got near the end of the rant and I was like, this should be its own video. So I wanted to talk about why is there this disconnect between both players' sides of Dead by Daylight with what is considered sweat. Because I feel like both sides don't understand when they're being sweaty, and I feel like that's just like really what comes down to most of the arguments and frustrations that happens in Dead by Daylight is like players don't understand when they're doing something incredibly intense and incredibly sweaty in the match to win, as opposed to anything else. I think the example that got brought up is like in my last video I was talking about how tunneling somebody out when there's less than 2 gens is efficient. It's just you wanting to win, right? It's not you trying to be mean or terrible. You just want to win. And the example I brought up is that survivors don't like it when you tunnel, period. They don't like it when you tunnel. They don't like it when you camp. These are the sweat tools for killer. If you're tunneling somebody and you're camping somebody, you're sweating. You're doing something really efficient. It's why you see a lot of these tactics used in comp Dead by Daylight because, well, A, because the rules are different and the scoring is different, but B, because they're efficient. And like many things, these things don't have a whole lot of counterplay. And even if you decide to like pull off the whole team to go get that save if somebody's camping, that's like a huge, an immense amount of pressure. And obviously if somebody tunnels and they don't have the perks to kind of defend themselves, there's not much they can do either. They kind of just get yeeted out of the game really quickly. That is the killer's form of sweating. But for some reason, I don't think that survivors really understand their version of sweating very much. Mostly, I think because I guess this is just a guess, but it's mostly because it's this idea that's like a 4v1, right? So you're like, it's just me. There's 3 other people. Like, how can me sweating affect the game so badly? I think when survivors decide that they're going to do the gens super efficiently, and then they're going to hold W and pre-drop every pallet, that is them playing sweaty. That is them playing in a way that has very little counterplay and is just efficient and good without any sort of chance to interrupt for the most part. This is what survivors do to sweat. They do the gens really, really efficiently, and then they like pre-drop and hold W. There's also a perk component to that, but I don't really think I want to talk about playstyles in this video, not necessarily like perks into the game, because I feel like it's pretty obvious what perks are sweaty, like I don't need to tell you slowdown versus exhaustion, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? But like survivors don't understand like their gameplay can be sweaty as well. And they get really frustrated when a killer like reacts with tunneling, with camping. And it's like, you don't understand that you are escalating the situation, right? You have escalated the situation. When I have a short chase, right? I have a short chase. I chase somebody for 15, 20 seconds, and then I go to hook them. And before I can walk across the map, gen pops. I'm like, jeez. And then I go chase somebody who popped that gen, and then I chase that person for 15 seconds, and the next gen pops. That's really quick. That is intense, right? Because that was 2 people on 1 gen, and then 1 person by themselves. Just plowed through 2 gens, even though I was being super quick and super efficient with my chase. Like, that is intense. That is sweat. You are being super efficient. And I think the disconnect comes in the fact that like survivors don't really understand like the pressure that puts on the killer when you have 1 good chase and you weren't even being that bad and suddenly just 2 gens are gone. They don't understand that they are enacting an immense amount of pressure on the killer in that moment because it's invisible, right? Like you don't see the killer, you don't see them react. You don't see that part because you're far away from the killer to get those gens done. So there's like no like immediate like line of sight or any like reaction that the killer has that you see. So it's kind of like, it's almost like, how people insult each other behind screens on the internet. Like you can't see the direct effect of what you've done. So you just assume it's not a problem, but it is. It's a very, very super efficient and very sweaty thing to do. So the killer is going to react accordingly and may decide to proxy camp the guy they just hooked to try and steal that pressure back because you have raised the stakes. You took this from just a normal game of Dead by Daylight and you said, we're sweating now. We're sweating now because we're doing these gens super quickly. You have escalated the situation, so the killer is going to react accordingly. They're going to react accordingly. Same thing goes for killer, by the way. If you hook somebody, like first hook, and you decide that you're going to proxy camp them or outright camp them, and then 5 gens fly by, like really quickly, and you go, gen rush. It's the same thing. You decided to camp or proxy camp somebody at 5 gens. You are enacting an immense amount of pressure immediately at the beginning of the match for literally no reason. You are not behind. You have no reason to catch up. They're not being sweaty yet. You have no reason to be doing that at the beginning of the match. So you have amped up the stakes. You have intensified the game. And that's why the gens suddenly start flying when you're camping. A, because you're not defending them, and B, because you have decided to do something incredibly sweaty, so that everybody else in the game goes, okay, this is a sweaty game. So now we are going to sweat. You know, you have invited the sweat into the game, and then you complain about, no, well, now they're playing sweaty. Well, no, duh, you're doing something sweaty. Like, why do players have such a hard time understanding this? Like, it's just so nutty. I see this so much with the pre-dropping thing too. Survivors will just like hold W and pre-drop, hold W and pre-drop. And they're like, I'm just trying to win. And I'm like, yeah, but like not really. Like you can use these loops and go around these loops and try to like get as much time and efficiency out of them as possible. But no, you're just going to pre-drop, make the safest option possible. And just if they just happen to be a killer like Sadako or like Myers that can't really do anything about a pre-drop pallet, you are forcing them to just have to play the game sweatier. They might have to prox camp, they might have to tunnel to get back the time lost because you pre-dropped the pallet and forced the chase to go on much longer because there was no mind gaming, there was no good plays made, it was just safe play. So you're wasting their time, so they got to buy that time back somewhere else. And it's just like, I don't get it. I don't get how people don't understand how this stuff is. Like, this is like beyond what is necessary. I think that's the main thing is like, it is beyond what is necessary. And I want to make this clear that like, it's fine to play sweaty, right? Like you bought the game, play however you want. If what makes you happy in this game is like tryharding, like go for it. It's weird. It's a pub game. It's a party game. It's like, you're not getting anything for it, but like you do you, bud. Like you bought the game. But I think like what frustrates me, what gets me mad is the idea that like people really like surprise Pikachu face when somebody starts camping and tunneling because you gen rushed or vice versa. It's like you started proxy camping, so gens flew. It's like, do you not understand? Like, how do these sides both not understand that what they're doing is intense and sweaty and raising the intensity of the game? And I feel like that's where so much frustration in Dead by Daylight comes from. It's not from the fact that like people like the sweat itself. It's that like people don't get it. Like people literally don't understand when sweat is happening, when they're performing sweat, and then they just get so shocked when the other side sweats back. Like they literally freak out. And it's just like, I don't know how to help you. I don't know how to help you, dude. I do not know how to help you. That person, I know that the person I mentioned in the last video who got really upset because I back-to-back hooked them, they were like trying to greed gens in my face, right? That is a sweaty thing to do, right? Like they kept tapping gens with me, like literally within 8 to 16 meters of them. And they did it more than once. That is a sweaty thing to do. I gotta be doing these gens. We gotta get these gens out. Like that's like, you raised the intensity, right? Like you raised the intensity of the game. So when I found you, I didn't go, oh, well, I should back-to-back hook them. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna hook them because like they're trying to get these gens out, you know? And it's like, okay, it's like that's what you do. It's a reaction. It's a reaction. It's not like I'm trying to be mean. I'm reacting to something that you're doing that is intensity. You have raised the level of intensity, and now I am reacting. And I don't think people understand they just like no awareness that they are raising the intensity of the game whatsoever. It just boggles my mind and makes me so frustrated. I feel like so many of our problems would not be as bad if people just understood when they're sweating and just like, I don't know. It just frustrates me. Like if they understand when they're sweating, then they expect the sweat to come back. Like they had clear expectations of the game. That would be great. Like, but then again, I guess that's the core issue of Dead by Daylight in general is like people have ridiculous expectations about how the game should go and upholding people to rule books. I'm allowed to sweat, but you're not allowed to sweat, you know, all that wonderful stuff. But yeah, that was a rant from my last video that was like 5 minutes, and I just wanted to like make it its own video, and it's still making me mad, and I just don't know what else to say about it. Like I'm just mad because it frustrates me so much because like people will like demonize each other over this. Like they will be like, you're such a sweat lord, wow, you're terrible. And it's like, well, you sweated too. Pot the kettle. You started it. Like literally, it's like the age old. You started it. They literally you started it. You started sweating, and they're like, no, I didn't. It's like, yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. You just either A, don't have like zero freaking awareness about what sweat means, or B, you're just being a jerk. And it's like, and maybe it's both. Maybe it's both. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It just makes me really, really mad. And it's one of the things that just like, I like playing DBD, but it's just one of those things that just makes me so mad because it's just stupid. But yeah, I could rant about this forever, and the video is already pretty long. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I appreciate y'all so much, and thank you for spending time with me today. Hopefully I'll see you in tomorrow's video, and if I don't, I will see you when I see you, friends. Goodbye.